The necklace was still around my neck when they buried her. I pulled at it until my skin bled, but it would not come off. That was the day I knew I had made the worst promise of my life. 3 years earlier, my grandmother gave me a small necklace made of black beads. She looked me in the eyes and said, "Never promise your heart to someone while wearing this." I laughed. It sounded like an old village story. I wore it every day. I met a girl named Amara. One evening, we stood under a big tree near the river. I held her hand and said, "I will never leave you." The necklace suddenly felt cold. Amara smiled, but for a second, I saw fear in her face. Months later, I wanted to end the relationship. When I told her, she cried but said nothing. The next morning, people said she had fallen into the river during the night. They found her body before sunrise. Everyone called it a sad accident. I wanted to believe them. That night, I heard wet footsteps outside my room. Slow. Heavy. Drip. Drip. Every night, the footsteps came closer. When I looked through the window, nobody was there. But the necklace became colder each time. My grandmother looked at the necklace and turned pale. She whispered, "The promise was made. It cannot be broken." She told me that long ago, people believed the necklace punished those who broke a promise made while wearing it. I laughed again. Until I saw muddy footprints leading from my door to my bed. I tried to throw the necklace into the river. The next morning, it was back around my neck. Years have passed. I no longer hear the footsteps. Now, I hear breathing. Every night. Right behind me. I have never turned around. I took the necklace to the oldest man in our village. People said he knew stories that were older than anyone alive. The moment he saw the beads, his face changed. He did not touch them. Instead, he stepped back and whispered, "Why did you bring that thing here?" I asked him what he meant. He looked at me for a long time before saying, "That necklace never forgives a broken promise." Before I could ask another question, he shut his door. I heard him lock it from inside. That night, I could not sleep. Around midnight, someone called my name. Very softly. Daniel. It sounded exactly like Amara. I opened my window. No one was outside. Then I heard the voice again. This time, it came from behind me. I turned around. My room was empty. But the necklace around my neck had become ice cold. When morning came, I looked into my mirror. There were fresh wet fingerprints around my neck. I lived alone. I could not take it anymore. I went to the cemetery where Amara was buried. Her grave looked normal from a distance. But when I got closer, the fresh flowers on her grave were still wet, even though it had not rained for days. Then I noticed something that made my legs shake. There was only one set of footprints in the soft mud. They started at her grave. And they ended right where I was standing. There were no footprints leading back. Woman at the well. I left the cemetery without looking back. On my way home, I stopped at the village well. An old woman was drawing water. The moment she saw the necklace, the bucket slipped from her hand. "You are too late," she whispered. I asked her what she meant. She walked away without answering. I returned to my grandmother's house. She brought out an old wooden box from under her bed. Inside was a torn notebook. Every page had the same drawing. A necklace made of black beads. Under one drawing were 4 names. 3 names had been crossed out. The 4th name had my name written beside it. My grandmother finally spoke. The first owner was a hunter. He promised to marry a woman. But he married someone else. A week later, people found him dead beside a river. No wounds. No fight. Just fear frozen on his face. The necklace was missing. The second owner was a trader. He promised to return for the woman he loved. Instead, he disappeared to another town and married someone else. Months later, People found him wandering alone. He could not speak. He died 3 days later. The necklace was gone again. The third owner was a teacher. He laughed when people warned him. He said stories could not hurt anyone. One night, his neighbors heard him talking to someone inside his room. The next morning, the room was locked from the inside. He was dead. The necklace had disappeared. My grandmother looked at me. It always finds another neck.